Hungry Trilobyte podcast would like to start by acknowledging these fine conventions. SoonerCon. Despite the pandemic, Central Oklahoma's longest-running pop culture convention is back. They will hold their next event in June of 2022. To support them, fans and artists have rallied together on their Kickstarter, which you can visit. The Kickstarter will run through February 2nd. Go to SoonerCon.com for more details. The Hellmouth Convention. The Hellmouth Convention is a celebration of all pop culture, but specifically things like Buffy, Angel, Firefly, and Dr. Horrible. It is held in Los Angeles, California, and the next event is scheduled for June 3rd through 5th, 2022. Proceeds benefit the Los Angeles LGBT Center as well as the Ron Glass Memorial Scholarship Fund. For more information, go to thehellmouth.org.
Back today, we have Larry Hankin. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing fine. I'm staying sequestered. I'm still. I've got PTSD. I think from this COVID thing. I fear Homo sapiens. It's really weird, but I'm trying to work through it.
Well, as we said last time, the Homo sapien, as a rule, is not something to be taken lightly. So I think your caution is well warranted.
Well, thank you very much for the backup. Thank you.
So you said something to me, and you didn't say much else, that you have a book in the works.
Oh, yeah. It's churning right now, right as we speak. There are people considering it. Everybody, so far, knock on wood. As my grandfather used to say, knock on wood. Everybody has really loved it. I mean, not liked it, but they think this is really cool, man. This should be a bestseller. But getting a publisher is really difficult, man, because there's more books being written than there are actors being auditioning. So that's pretty heavy because I'm an actor and there's a lot of actors out there. So if there's more people writing books than there are actors, wow. It's a tough grind, but it's a good book, and it'll be done soon. I mean, I'm talking to 3 or 4 people now.
Sure,
they don't know, and the book business is weird, Aaron. Let me tell you, it's very difficult.
I've dipped my toes in those waters a few times, so I definitely have a taste of what you're going through here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, you're right on, and then you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's kind of surprising, actually. I thought, well, I'll just knock off a book and sell it and rest easy on my laurels for the rest of my life. No, it's not going to work that way. It doesn't work that way. You got to actually go out there, publicity and all that stuff, And they really excited. Excuse, say that again.
I got excited because when we talked last time, we talked about books a lot. We talked about anthropology books, and so I'm okay, if Larry's writing something, I want to know about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, back then, which was not back then too long ago, I didn't know anything. So when you don't know anything, it's all, it's all roses. But it's not. Once you start to get into it, and I start to do research and stuff, it's like, I guess it's like any other thing. If I wanted to go into banking, it would be the same thing. You just gotta put the time in and the research. I never was big on research. That was my problem. It still is. But I just want to. Back in the old days, like in the Cro-Magnon days, in like before the 60s, this is like ancient times, man. It's like going back to caveman times, before the 60s. There was no digital or anything, so everything was face-to-face or on the phone, but everything was closer. More human. It wasn't closer. Everything was more human and tactile. So I grew up with that kind of input and that kind of, reaching out. But now these kids today, they have a leg up on us old timers. They know how to work it. And I'm just learning how to work it. and I never had to learn how to work it. You just hit a switch and the lights went on. Now, I don't know, you got to get apps to turn your lights on. What the heck is going on? I just, so it's tough keeping up. Plus trying to get, literary agent or any kind of agent or publisher or whatever. But I mean, like I say, if I went into banking or into shoe shine business, it would be the same thing, man.
So is this your first time trying the route of writing a book and getting it published? Because you've done so much else.
Well, no, it's not my first time writing a book and getting it out there. But my first book, I just published it myself. I hired a publisher to publish the book, and I put it out, and it worked. I mean, it's much easier to do that. It's a little more expensive, but not that much expensive. But the publicity is where separates the kids from the grown-ups. If you have a publisher, then you have a lot of access to getting your jams and jellies out there for people to see, to buy, publicity. If you do it yourself, then you have to pay for everything, and the expense it's just very expensive. And also, I don't like to listen to other people. I like to. It's somebody put it very well. They said, I love learning. I just don't like to be taught. And I thought, wow, man, that's really hip. And it has its drawbacks to follow that. But I mean, basically, that's right, So I would, I kind of prefer to learn it myself, which takes a longer time and it's a little more expensive. But, I'm kind of,
you and I can sit here and be grouchy about the way the world is changing and all the different this and that and the other thing. And that's all true. But the advantage is that we have so many tools now to get something out there if we really want it out there. And we can learn and invent our own tools if we want to. That is a good thing. That is a.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just trying to keep up. It's like, listen, man, I can learn to run faster. Mm-hmm. I can. But the sweat that I have to put into to not just get up and run faster. No, you got to go out and do a little exercise and preparation, because I used to run. You got to put the time in, and the tools that were available to me in the old archaic days, I had learned as I grew up, and kids are learning now the tools that they have as they grow up. Well, the learning curve is a lot steeper for age, and that's just a gift of the golden years. I'm not really complaining. I'm just trying to suss it out, and I'm just trying to learn now. But I'm at the point now where I've got read the book. I've done all the research and blah blah blah. And now I've come to the level of where I started when I was an actor, when I first started to become an actor. And I was getting access and calling the right people and making all that stuff and doing the auditions. And finally, you go, oh, okay, so I got all the tools now. Now I just got to learn how to do auditions. Now that I'm in all the auditions, I've just got to learn what everybody else has to learn. What the tricks are and, blah, blah, blah. So I'm learning the tricks now.
All right. Now, let me maybe pick on that, because that's really neat in my head. How would you compare going on an audition, especially as a young, inexperienced actor, to querying a publisher or an agent?
Well, the jargon, first of all. Every career, every business, once you get into it, has its own jargon. And the people who are listening to you, if you're trying to get in, people are listening to you are really not listening to you. What they're listening for is their language. Does this kid speak my language? Even in an audition, the proper form, the waiting room, You're talking to other people. Are you a person who can just jabber away and go in an audition, or do you have to concentrate? And those are two different ways of doing an audition, and all the stations of the cross in between. Well, that's a language. And if you're kind of nervous, and look, like for instance, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm talking in the beginning, I used to see everybody in the waiting room to audition talking to people. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I saw you here last week. You were blah, 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 blah. And so that's what I did, everybody's, just being casual and I guess relaxing and talking. Well, I can't do that. And it took me a while to learn. So when I would go in after talking to all these people, I'd go in, I'd forget my lines, I'd be very nervous. So my auditions weren't going well. So I thought, well, doing the same thing over and over is like insane. So I thought maybe if I concentrated and I wouldn't talk to other people. Now that's rude. So I would just sit and I would just kind of just concentrate on, I got to go in and get the job. I don't care about talking to these other people. And I found that, I got a couple of good scores. I would start to, so just learning the language. Then when you get in there, do you discuss it? Do you ask them to give, well, what are you looking for? Or do you just go do it and then talk about, what's the order? So I learned that, and then I learned the jargon of audition it's the same thing with going into a publisher, and I'm only now learning, like query letters. I studied for a month how to write a query letter, man. Now, everybody has to do that, but I didn't know that. I didn't assume that. Because when I was an actor, I assumed, this stuff I'm gonna have to learn because I want to be an actor. I never wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an actor. So I concentrated on learning that. Well, now all of a sudden I want to be a writer. Oh, I got to learn. I got to go back and learn the whole thing. So, that's what it's just, priorities and getting the order straight, the stations of the cross, and you can't skip over. You got to do 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't do 1, 4, 3, 2. You can't do that. You just blah, blah, blah. Some people can. I can. So you got to learn what you can do as opposed to what other people's can do easily, blah, blah, blah. So it's just a learning process, and life is, I guess that's what life is, you just got to learn. And so me talking to you, I'm talking to you now, being in the book business, whereas the first time we had a discussion, I was new to it. So I was, cocky and jaunty, jolly, and sure, I'll just go in, write a book, put it out there. It doesn't work that way, And just the other day, I was talking to a literary agent who had been recommended. Getting recommendations is another thing, So that's when I discovered the jargon thing, just recently. That I said, he's listening. He's not listening to me. He's listening for. But in the conversation, it suddenly occurred to me. So I threw in a couple of publishing things that I learned, and he perked up. I was like, wow, how do you like that? It actually works. They do listen to the jargon. Yeah. Okay. And I had learned the jargon, whereas when I was talking to you, I didn't. So that's all, but it's all good, man. Mm-hmm. You can't stop progress. It's just digital is weird to somebody who, spent 30, 40 years of their life without digital. It's and now you go up to like a 16-year-old, and that's who I get my information from. 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds. Hey, could you help me with this? Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Well, you got to call a company. Boom. Thank you.
But you go up to that same 14-year-old, 15-year-old, and you make them have to do it the old way, and they have no idea what the tools would even be.
Right. Yeah. What's a pencil?
Mm-hmm.
Well, which way do you hold it? Which? No, you're holding it upside down. There you go. Yeah, but it's the same thing. And when I was a kid, learning from my father was, well, Dad, man, why are you bothering with this? What do you mean by neato? Hey, that's neato. What is that? It's Stations of the Cross. Yeah, it's growing up. Okay, here's the other thing, the upside. You're always growing up until you decide to grow old. That's a decision, by the way. Mm-hmm. Being old is bullshit. It's you decide to be old, and then you are. And all my friends have decided. Well, they didn't really consciously decided. They just everybody decided that they were old, and they went along with it. I don't countenance to that philosophy.
I'm not the oldest guy on my block, but I'm also no spring chicken.
Okay. Are you the sharpest crayon in the box?
Don't know all the colors yet.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I hear people say, I'm too old to learn how to do that.
That's bullshit.
Yes.
But if you say that, you are.
Yes.
Next.
And where is that written on the box? Where is that on the wall? Where do you see that you're too old? Where did you get that from? Your ass?
Other people who decided they were old and couldn't learn it. It's other people, man. Hell is other people. Good people wrote good things in plays and movies about that. You should watch those and read those. They're really good. It's all other. It's you. Well, okay. I'll give you a choice. It's either other people or it's you. That's all. Just decide. It's other people. Cool, man.
Why are you going to let other people define who and what you are?
Because you don't know better, man. It's your decision. Your parents. I mean, when it suddenly hit me, my parents don't know anything more than I do. They just know other things than I do. Well, other things are good to know. I need to know that. I didn't know that, but you don't know this. So it's either you or other people, and that's. I mean, I have nothing more to give you than that, man. And maybe a little inspiration. Maybe I should inspire you, and not think about other people or you. Just go paint or write, or or do wow, swing and bow wow. But
well. Like you said earlier, you were going to rest on your laurels. I find that funny because I'm looking at a guy who's done a million things already. You've got a nice little place behind you, beautiful art on the walls. You could just kick up your heels and drink your coffee, but you want to do more yet.
No, it's not quite that way.
Okay.
The key operative word there is want. I don't want to do anything. That's all what right. I want. There's certain things I need to do.
All right.
And that's, if you put that in your sentence, there's certain things you need to do, Larry. I have pictures in my head that I want to manifest. Whether it's a picture of me, of a scene that I want to write, or a painting that I want to paint, or a sketch I want to sketch, or a part I want to play. But basically, I'm dyslexic. I have ADHD. So I got a lot of things. My brain is not quite the same, maybe, as yours. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I'm dyslexic and I have ADHD and a little PTSD on the side. So all of that together, produces paintings and writing and whatever, stuff. And I go along with it. I could, if I had enough money, I would go to Bimini. Why not? My friend just came back from Bimini, showed me all the pictures from all the yachts out in the bay. So yeah, but That would be good for a day or two or three. It'd be kind of like R&R, rest and relaxation. But then, that going to Bimini and all the money in the world is not going to change my dyslexia or my ADHD. That's still me, a part of me. So, you can't, there's certain things that you just have to do. You're just driven to do. You think Dylan wants to write songs all the time? I mean, I'm sure he just would like to play with his kids or, go on a hike or something. Picasso, I'm sure I get to a point where you can do anything you want, but I'm not there yet. I mean, some people can do that. I just there's, what it is? It's, what do you call it? The bucket list. The bucket list. A lot of people, are born doing it. That's a quote from Dylan. He said, I was born doing it. Writing songs and making music. Okay, Picasso the same way. When he was 9 years old, his father was a painter. Picasso's father was a well-known painter in his time, made a living, raised a family. And when Picasso used to paint with him, he had a little easel and he would paint while his dad painted. And that was kind of cool, hung out with his dad. And then when he was 9 years old, his father looked at his painting that he was painting, took all of his stuff, and he said to his son, Picasso, Pablo, I'm retiring. This is all yours now. And he just turned over the studio to the kid. And he went and took a vacation, his father. Just never painted again. Just did whatever he wanted to do. I don't know, whatever. So in a way, Picasso was doing it, or had a model to be doing it, so that when he grew up. And Dylan was born doing it, and there's other people who were born doing it, blah, 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 from a little age. So, but then there comes a time, I guess, when you're like his father. Okay, I'm done. Here. I haven't reached that point yet. So maybe that's what I'm just waiting for. That point where you go, I'm done. I've emptied my head. And I'm not there yet. It's a load of stuff in there, man, that I just, I've had plans to do, I'd like to take over TikTok is what I'd like to do. That would be, that's like a bucket list. And bucket lists are good because it keeps you going, always, Don Quixote said that, the impossible dream. Always have a dream. Always, and a lot of people, they reach their dream and they're just flummoxed. They're dumbfounded. They had this dream all their life, blah, blah, blah. I want to be rich enough to buy a Lamborghini. And then one day they're rich enough to buy a Lamborghini, and then they buy the Lamborghini. And, excuse me for being a writer, but the next day they blow their head off. They didn't have anywhere else to go. No, you always have a dream, blah, blah, blah. Of course, there's a lot of things that Cervantes said that I don't agree with, like chivalry. Well, no, actually, I do agree. He said chivalry is dead. That's what Cervantes was saying. That's what Don Quixote was saying. Chivalry is dead. And I always believed it wasn't. That, be chivalrous. Don't hit women. There's a lot of guys hitting women, man. Mm-hmm. So you go up to them, hey, have you read Don Quixote? Never mind. I don't know. It's just all these thoughts I have. You put them into books, you put them into paintings, you put them into screenplays.
That's exactly what I was thinking when, you said you wanted to travel and go to Bimini. You probably could, and it'd be a hell of a good time. But
yeah, I probably could. Actually, if you really know, if I wanted to go to, I would. I just don't need to. It's just I got something more important to do right now. I got something more to do. First of all, I got to do your podcast. So, I couldn't go to Bimini today. And then later I got to meet some guy. So I can't go today. So that's out. So Bimini's out for today. And all I got to do, this is a homeless guy once told me, he said, we were talking about doing stuff. And, and he said, look, being homeless is a job. I was homeless for about a year. So, I mean, I learned my lesson. Being homeless is a job. It's not nothing. It's not hanging out in front of your tent or, your hovel. It's a job. What's the job? And I asked him, I said, well, what's the job? What's your job? He said, get through today and find a safe place to sleep tonight. That's my job. And that's not easy. Okay. Got it. Okay. So, you see these people who are lazy. That's such bullshit, man. Because I was homeless for a year. And for people to say that homeless people are lazy just galls me. You try to be homeless for a couple of hours, man. I'm getting angry. I don't want to do. Okay. but you see what I'm saying? There's more to it than just what you think. That's all.
My prediction is if you were there and you took that big trip around the world, within 2 or 3 days, you'd be saying, where can I find myself a canvas? I got to get something out. Where can I find a typewriter or a pad of paper?
It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
I will, because I've gone through that. No, you find what you need. How do I? You whatever is available becomes your creative tools. So if I go around the world and I don't have a pen or a pencil or a brush or a book, or I will find whatever it is around me that will inspire me to use it to create whatever it is that I then there in that spot need. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So you don't have to carry, you don't have to take things with you. You got it all here. It's all here. Your strength, your mind, your emotions, all that stuff, your philosophy, your religion, whatever it is. You got what you need. Or you get what you need and you find out what you need. And then you find out what you want. I mean, the people in Ukraine, perfect example. Their house is bombed. They've lost everything. They're now bereft of everything. And you have to catch a train 100 miles away or 40 miles away or 10 feet away. What are you going to bring with you? Your house is in rubble. You're going to pick out what? Food. That's the first thing you're going to look for is food, man. You're going to pack your suitcase with food. Well, if I asked you that 5 months ago, before that, 5 months previous to that, what are you going to take with you? If, I got my pictures. I got to take, my kids' shoes. I had my kids' shoes bronzed. I'm going to take those, man. That's a memory. The circumstances say what you're going to need and want. Bronze shoes. You got no. I bet, or maybe one out of the 1.7 million people who've been displaced in Ukraine have taken a pair of bronze shoes with them. They're taking stuff they need, that they're gonna need. So it's where are you in the stations on the ladder of life? Where are you?
The hierarchy of needs.
The hierarchy of needs until you get to your wants. Your wants. Well, when you're homeless, you find out pretty much what you need and what you want. I tell you, okay, so your job is get through today and find a safe place to sleep tonight. That's job one. Okay, and that's the only job you have? No, I have another job. Oh, what is that? Well, I have stuff. I have blankets. I can't take my blanket with me, when I go out to beg for food or find a job or whatever. I can't take my blanket to an interview. So somebody has to watch it or I got to hide it. So taking care of something that's not with me is my second job. You got to get somebody to watch your blanket or your stuff, or you got to worry about your stuff that you hid it, because you don't own anything when you're poor, because everybody needs what you need. Needs, there's wants and there's needs. So they're going to steal your stuff if they want it, if they need it bad enough. So you got to watch your stuff. So you only kind of own, when you're homeless, what you have on you. That's yours. If you leave it somewhere and you say, watch this man, now he may watch it or she may watch it or not. So when you come back, it's either there or it isn't. Many times I've come back and it wasn't there. Who are you gonna call?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you gonna call? It's just gone. It wasn't yours. You had it for a while. I'm talking about batteries for your car. I'm talking about your guitar. I'm talking about your stash. I'm talking about your money. I'm talking about your food. I'm talking about where you sleep, somebody else is sleeping there. Hey man, get the fuck out of here. Okay. Or not, go find it. I mean, just declamations, picking up stuff. And then you become middle class, and then it's all there. And you got Siri, you got Chloe, you got Abigail. Abigail, turn on the heater. Siri, what's the meaning of bereft? It's just sit in your chair and order your little things, right? It's just, I could go on and on.
I enjoy when you do. I really do. You got some great
insight. I mean, it's just, I got tired of hearing my own voice after a while, but that's what I see. That's how I go through life, just seeing what's needed and what's necessary. And and then there's guys like Putin, and that blows your mind. I mean, no matter what I say to you or anybody else, there's a disconnect of that guy is a human being like me. Prick him, does he not bleed? Poison him, does he not die?
And yet, he's capable of doing things that you and I would never imagine.
He's capable of doing what you and I always do and can do. He's capable, and you are capable of doing what he is. He's a homo fucking sapien. And look what we do to one another. There's white, black, yellow, green, blue. Come on. That is such horseshit. I mean, this planet we're the first species in the entire solar system. Our solar system, we're the only first species to outgrow its planet. That's cool, man. We're starting to, and this is true, I'm not making this up. We're starting to run out of arable land. We're starting to run out of food, water, and air. What other animal poisons its own air? What other animal besides bat sleeps in its own crap? Which is what we're starting to do, man. We have too much garbage. Where are we going to put it? These are Homo sapiens. No other animal does that. They know better. They know better. Bats, shit where they sleep. Well, how did they adjust that? Well, we'll hang from the ceiling in bat droppings, guano. And that gives also life to other insects down there. But that's their house. They live in caves, they shit on the floor, and they live on the ceiling. Well, evolution isn't fast enough for us to come up with that. We hang upside down from trees is where we got it. It's just, this is what I have to deal with my dyslexia and ADHD and painting and creativity. What are you people doing? What are you doing? What exactly are you doing? Either somebody is doing too much, or a lot of people are doing nothing. The great that's the secret of autocracy. Get everybody into the middle class and just sit back. Because when you're in the middle class, you have no worries. You're raising kids, that's your worry. You're getting, going to work. My father's big worry when he went to work on the train every day was being able to read, fold the newspaper right while standing up. I went to work with him several times. You get in these trains and you're crowded. And so to pass the time, because he had like a half an hour train ride minimum, get into the city, he would bring a newspaper and I would see my father. This is one of the expertise of my father, was he would, on the train, he would open at like the New York Times or the Long Island Press or whatever. Open it up, and then he would read. And I thought, wow, man, that's amazing. That's like a juggler. I mean, he would, know how to unfold it to continue. If I did that, I would have to, where did it go? So there's that. He was middle class, and I grew up in a vapid, no input, childhood. The middle class, and how they keep you in line is they get you to buy a house, the sign of being middle class. And what does that do? It locks you into a mortgage. And now you have to keep a job. Now you have to have a job. Now you can't quit that job. You got a mortgage, and you got 2 kids and a wife, plus car payments.
And that's the world
nailed to the wall. What?
And they said that's the world we all live in, or at least 99%.
Well, not me. And I have my own problems. That's not my problem. But I have my own problems. I got to pay rent too, But if you're middle class, I'm not nailed to the wall. If you're middle class, you're nailed to the wall. I mean, you are locked into middle class. You can't go down. Your only path to freedom is to go up, is to get richer. Capitalism, not democracy, capitalism. So capitalism works well in democracy. Yeah, I have nothing to say for or against capitalism. I'm for democracy. Capitalism, it works. But it's kind of a Ponzi scheme, actually. But hey, okay. It seems everybody seems to like it. I'm doing okay. Larry Hankin is doing fine. But if you're in the middle class, you have so many things that keep you there. Mortgage, house payments, rent, car payments, medical, dental, 2 kids, a wife, food, the lawn, upkeep, house upkeep, babysitting, maybe a maid comes in once a week, cleans, gas, clothing, washing machine. So, I mean, you have to have a certain income to keep all those things up. The apps on your laptop,
Mm-hmm.
or laptop, those things lock you into the middle class. And the whole point of democracy now, the whole point of capitalism, is to make sure that you maintain, so that you don't get nervous about, hey, is this getting shaky? Like what happens in the Ukraine. All the people who are leaving are middle class people. They're bereft, man. Once you take away their house and their middle classness, They just have to pack one suitcase, take a kid, get on a train and go to another country and live off, the kindness of others.
I hope there's enough of that kindness out there, because I have my doubts sometimes.
Doubts about what?
About whether the world is going to be able to take those people and
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the next problem. So it behooves democracies, not autocracies, they don't give a fuck, man. But it behooves democracies to take care of the middle class. But in taking care, making sure that war doesn't happen, but to make sure that the middle class is safe, they got to keep you in the middle class and get more people to shore up the middle class and to get richer so that there's more room for more middle class. And what's the result of that? Well, we don't talk about the result of that. The result of that is fuck the weakest. That's how you do it. Fuck the weakest. Why? Because they can't fight back. They have no money. They're not in the middle class. We're not here for we're not here for those people. The middle class and the rich people say that's supporting laziness. Those are the lazy people. Well, fuck the lazy people. There are no lazy people. They don't exist, man. There are no lazy people, because lazy people starve to death and die. They get rid of themselves. Lazy people are no use to themselves. So that's the fallacy. That's the lie, that there are lazy people. Some people call lazy people a different color. People who are purple are lazy.
I've never found any utility in comparing somebody's actions to their appearance. No matter how many times it's been explained to me or proposed to me that this appearance relates to these actions, it never works out for me. I don't see it. I never will.
From your mouth to God's ears.
I hope. I mean, I can find all sorts of problems with somebody, but their appearance can't be on the list.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's the conundrum of Homo sapiens.
Mm-hmm.
We've built not societies, but civilizations. But how do you think the pyramids got built?
Are you asking my personal opinion?
Yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of people a long time ago used a decent amount of human engineering and some rudimentary calculus to push blocks on sand.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
These people who figured out these calculus and stuff,
mm-hmm.
They were pushing blocks?
Not the ones doing the drawings, the ones doing the calculations, but they came up with the plan, and then other people who...
Other people? How many other people?
Quite a few. A lot.
A lot?
I believe the numbers are in the thousands, tens of thousands.
And how many people were doing the calculations?
A couple dozen.
Do you think you have an answer to your own question? I don't know if you even asked the question.
I didn't.
You just assumed. You just assumed. I asked you, how did the pyramids get built? And you just told me a couple of dozen people did it. That was your first answer. That was your go-to answer. A couple of people, some engineers and people who did calculus. That was your answer.
That was my answer.
Think about it.
I'm looking at the implied question. Or
no, I'm looking at your exact answer.
Sure.
And that's what everybody does. The people who are responsible are either lazy or just a couple of calculus people. That's what gets me mad. Is your first go-to. Is everybody. I'm not picking on you, man.
No, that's fine.
Me. I mean, but you see what I'm saying? It's the easy answer. It's the easy answer. Purple people are lazy. That's an assumption. but it's a valid assumption because I see purple people and I see they're standing around. Well, let me take your house away, your money away, your way to make a living, your way to get cleaned up and go for an audition or a job interview, and see if you're named lazy or if you're just bereft of options. That's why you're standing in front of your tent, not doing anything.
What's
Your
valuable
brain is fried, is what it is. That's why he's doing
what's
that.
valuable about this is knowing that you've been on the other side of that tent and knowing you can offer this insight with authority, that you've been there, you've done this, and you know this, that this is, I've not had that life, so I can't say that, but if you can.
I do. I do. I do. It's in my writings. It's in, what do you think that is? What do you think that is?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think I'm saying? I mean, or that right there. But I do, but I'm still dealing with a planet full of Homo sapiens. I mean, I'm not going to change anything. I just need to do that. And I need to do that. And I need to do that. That's my need. I don't, you do, you add a little more. I think each human being has a little piece of the puzzle of what life is all about. Maybe that much, but there's, 4 billion people on this planet. I don't know how many people there are on this planet. But each one of those people, I believe this, has just one little square, of knowledge that's needed to fill in the big, puzzle of why we're here. Because tigers don't even think of that. They just go about their business.
I'm excited to know that you're into this book, and I do not want to push you for any information that's not ready to go out. But when it is ready, I'd like to know, and I'd like to hear more about it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just tell you the premise of it. I mean,
okay.
It's a biography. It's a memoir. It's for me. It's how I got to be here talking to you from Far Rockaway, growing up with my family, to Syracuse University, but high school, Syracuse University, Greenwich Village, stand up, Second City, the Committee, Hollywood, stage, movies, TV, platforms, apps. That's the arc of, and I just tell little anecdotal stories about each stage. So I have 5. I do it by cities, because actually, I started in Far Rockaway, went to New York, and then I traveled around as a stand-up, doing a tour, and then St. Louis, and then Chicago, and then San Francisco, and then LA. So I follow that route, and I tell little anecdotal stories about each stage, but I'm growing older and learning stuff along the way, which I, but it's an oral history, basically, of me in show business. There's a couple of personal things, where I get a new roommate, or my girlfriend is kidnapped, things like that, where okay, I have to put down everything and go look for her. But other than that, it's just my trials and tribulations of auditioning, throughout my life.
I love picking up all this.
And then picking up all this information that I'm spouting out right now, kind of gathering information.
I love reading stuff like that. I definitely want to get my hands on this book. I would like to do that as soon as it's available in whatever way, shape, or form. And I'll even tell you.
Okay, I'll tell you the title. The title is That Guy. That's the title. And it's a great title. Yeah, it is great, because I am that guy.
You are that guy.
In so many things, people, they stop me on the street. They go, "Hey, you're that guy, man, from Seinfeld, right?" or hey, you're that guy from Breaking Bad, or you're that. So yeah, it's a good book. I mean, like I've had a couple of important people read it, and they all just went, "Hey, man, this is really cool." Larry, I'm not making that up. Which surprises the hell out of me, because I just wrote it because I needed to write it. I thought, if I don't write this down, I'm going to forget it, and it's going to go away. And I think there's really interesting stuff here. I mean, there's more interesting stuff than I even thought, because once you get into it, of course, the ideas start popping. But I was just thinking, no, there's this thing about I nearly died a couple of times, and I thought, no, that's a good story, man. And also, there are from stuff that I talk about even in interviews, or just hanging, with friends, and they go, well, how did you get that part? Somebody will ask me something, friend, hey, well, I saw you in blah blah blah. How did you get that part? So I'll just say, well, and I'll just tell this story about how I got the part, and it's really funny. So I thought, well, I should tell that story in the book, Or I had this girlfriend, and we did this, and that was kind of weird, man. That's a good story. I'll put that in the book. So that's what I did. It's just these stories I've been telling all my life, they will be lost. And, and people always ask me, hey, or they meet a friend, they'll say, hey, tell them about the time that you were with Howard Hessman and you took acid. Tell him about that thing. So now this guy I got to tell that guy. So buy the book.
I'm going to save a spot in the show notes for this book and wherever you can buy it when the time comes up. Let's have you back on sometime soon, as soon as it's out, Larry.
Well, I'm trying to get it out there. If I don't get a publisher, then I'm going to publish it myself. I mean, it's going to go out.
I'm a big fan of that idea, actually. I like that.
I'm beginning to lean more. Now, somebody wants to publish it. Does anybody know about Manic D Press? I'm just saying this out to the world.
I've heard some stuff about them.
What have you heard? They want to publish it. They actually want to publish it.
Okay.
I could stop looking right now and call them up and say, okay. But they're kind of a very, very small publishing house in San Francisco. And they do publish like R. Crumb, but that's like a very small, sales in America. He's big in Europe. But so so I'm trying to, get it out there big. But I'm still working on it. But it'll be out there, and I guess give me 3 more months.
All right.
3 more months, okay.
We'll swing back in 3 months.
Cool, man.
Larry, thanks for being on. Have yourself a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye, Aaron.